Okay, we're going to do remote maintenance. First thing we got to do is get into remote maintenance mode with the ZZ command. And then in order to configure the subs and UDs, you can type Sysop. Actually, if you're in ZZ mode and you hit double question mark, it'll bring up a menu of the Sysop functions that are available. And we're going to use the SM function.
I totally forgot about that double question.
Okay, so we're going to cursor over here to the editor utils, and we're going to run rel edit. All right, so it says that there's one SIG defined, one sub, one UD. Let's look at the sub and see how it's defined. Okay, it says it's general chat. It's a standard sub. It's open. We got it. I'm going to edit this sub right here because it's got it defined for type of 1 in order to edit this. It says device 0, drive 0. We'll say the subboards are, we're going to use number 4 to set the device to 10. And the drive will be 0, so that's fine. So we've got one sub, and we'll look at the UD, see how that's defined. Okay, again, we don't have it defined for anything, so we're going to take 1 so we can edit this. Let's set the device for the UDs as device 11 and drive 0, just out of interest. So we've got one SIG, one sub, one UD. Let's go to the SIG. We don't have any UXs. G. Okay, so right now we're going to edit this with the number 1. And take number 7 for the SB list. And we see it's configured for general chat. That's the only sub we have.
So you do need to define the SB list, right?
Right. And number 8, the UD list. We only have one UD in there, so that's fine. All right, so now, if you look at items 4, 5, and 6, since we do have subs, we're calling that open for this SIG. Since we do have UDs, we're calling that open for this SIG. There's no UXs, so we're going to change that to closed.
Okay.
Okay, with that, the SIG should be all set up. All we have to do is keep hitting return, hit return again, and this will exit out of the rel edit. Now we have to go back into the editor utils again and use option B to convert SIGs. You always have to use convert SIGs anytime you make a change in rel edit. It's going to load config 1 module and config 2 module, and it'll configure those SIGs. So that's all there is to it for setting up the subs and the UDs. We can quit out of this. We can quit out of the SM module. Now if we go into the subs with the SB command, it's going to, since there's only one SIG, it'll probably bypass that and just go to the subboard. Okay, so it takes you right to that general chat subboard. And there's no posts on it yet. So if there were a post, you would do it here.
Now,
But
in the past, I did have it at this point, but when I went to do a post is when it would error out.
Well, let me see. I'm going to do a directory of Drive 10 just to see if there's anything on there. Okay, that's your email and subs. And there's nothing on there, so I should be able to post to it. Test post. This is the first on the sub. Dot save.
All right. Yeah, I didn't get that far before.
And so now, if I did a scan, you would see that post on there.
Mm-hmm.
You could read that post with just a R1 or just by hitting return, and it'll read that.
Gotcha.
If you wanted to respond to this, you would use R to respond, or just hit return to go to the next one. So now let's go to the UDs. I'm going to number 1. Okay, you notice that my protocol is set for punter.
Yeah.
But I can change the protocol to, since I'm in a local maintenance mode, I can set it to copier. Okay. So now I'm in copier mode. Okay, well, I'm going to show you a little trick here. I'm going to change my drive to drive 8. Okay. So.
But wait, by doing that, we're reconfiguring the library as drive 8?
This is going to be temporary. I'm going to do that upload. I'm going to do an upload multi right now.
I gotcha.
I select pattern. Now, since we're on drive 8, I'm going to say no to that, no to that, no, it's too big. There's one, there's another one, there's another one, there's another one. I'm going to say start. Correct? Yes. I'm going to do an auto description. Sysop. Too lazy. Updating directory. Okay. Remember, I'm still in copier mode.
Right.
So now if I do a scan, you can see that I've got 4 files in this directory. And now I'm going to do a download multi. Okay, start at 1. I'm going to say yes, 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 correct, yes. Target 11,0. Okay, I'm copying that file over, copying that file over, copying that file over, copying that file over. I'm gonna upload multi again. This time it's gonna be plus files. Plus star. We'll say no to that. We'll say yes to that. Yes. Yes. Start. Correct. Auto. Still lazy. Updating directory. Okay, we scan this again, and you see that we got some plus files in there. So I'm going to do a download multi. I'm going to start at number 5. I'm going to select yes, yes, yes.
Move them over
Correct,
to 11.
yes.
Huh? Yep.
11,0. Now it's going to copy those files over there. Okay, so now I'll go back to that Z command and use number 2 to edit the library detail and change the device back over to 11, just like that. Exit back out. And so now when you're in the UD, you've got a scan here, and let's say I wanted to know what we have the about function. I want to know about file number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you see it's there?
Yep.
Now I can actually read that file from the UD section. And
wow.
there it is.
Yeah.
We're reading it right off of drive 11.
That's cool. So this is actually a good way to mount a drive with images or whatever on it and move them into your UD.
Correct. You notice there's a comment status up there. It says no comments.
Yeah.
You can actually, if you're the uploader or you're the Sysop or you're the SIGOP of the UD section, you can actually add comments to this file using that. When you're in the about function, you can add a comment, say yes. And now this file was so you can save that, and so if somebody else comes in and they use the about function,
They know what's going on now.
now you'll see the comment status is that it does have a comment.
Mm-hmm.
So you could actually use the comment command again and read that comment. If you selected next, if there were any additional comments, you would see them, or you could add to it.
Very cool.
If I want to go to the next file, I can read that. You've also got several other commands that you can use from within the about function. You can send a private email to the person that uploaded it. You have the ability to edit the file, and by editing, you can edit the file name, or you can edit the description, or you can edit the computer that it's designed for.
Mm-hmm.
If we say it's a Type 2 computer, that would be a Commodore 128. Type 1 would be a Commodore 64. Or you could edit the description.
Oh, okay.
Not so lazy now. See? And it'll update the directory. So there's a lot of things that you can do within the UD section.
Now those commands, are they still available through the double question mark that you've been using?
You've got menus. Anytime you're at a prompt, there's a menu of available commands. most of the time people,
Okay.
when they come here, they're going to be uploading or downloading files. So primarily, they would either be using they might use the PR command to change the protocol. They might use the U command to upload a file, or command to upload multi. There is a command that's available everywhere. It's the more prompt.
Yeah.
If I turn that on, and now if I look at the menu, it won't scroll by the entire page.
Right. Yeah.
It'll come up to it'll display a full page and then provide a more prompt.
That's one of
And
the
you can
most
select-
useful ones.
Yeah, you can select yes or no. And like I said, you can use that more prompt anywhere on the computer.
Okay.
I like to keep it off because the home key will pause the scrolling. Like even if I have the more prompt turned off, I can stop the scrolling if I hit the more key.
Mm-hmm.
The clear, on a Commodore, it's the clear home key. So, but on a PC, if you're calling on a PC, it's just going to be your home key. So
That's good to know.
So that's pretty much how you set up your UDs. The most important thing that I think a lot of people miss is doing the convert sig,
Uh-huh.
because that has to be done. If it's not done, those things that you just configured, they won't show up.
And again, you're going to do that anytime you add, delete within the groups or edit a group.
Right. There are quite a few utilities that are available in the Sysop menu.
Yeah.
Most of them you'll never need to use. But you've got this configured for FD 4K drives, right?
Yeah.
So did you know that you can use a CMD clock function to set the time on the CMD hard drive?
Oh, that's a helpful little one. I find when the clock falls behind, just close the emulator and restart.
Well, yeah, this just sets the device, the time that the device keeps track of.
Uh-huh.
And that comes off of the PC if you're running in Vice.
Yeah. Okay.
But
What about one of the ones I've picked up over the months in the user groups is people running this, they have a heck of a time finding an easy way to adjust people's user level when they're online.
okay, well, do you want to adjust when they're online?
Yeah, so in other words, if you're online right now and you were a new user and I wanted to instantly give you access on a level up, that's when I've seen a lot of people have the issue with.
On the Lightbar, you're going to move the highlight to where it says ACS, access.
Okay.
You see that?
Yep. I'm on
and then
it.
you hit the F7 key to put a check mark on the left side of access.
It's there.
And you would use the F3 and the F5 key to move it up or down. You see the little A
I
changing?
am. Yeah, I am. I'm going to kind of point to it with my mouse here. Right there.
So,
yeah, I can go from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and back around. Okay.
okay, So make sure you put it back on 9.
Yeah, take F7 off.
And remove the check mark with F7.
And you're back in business.
Correct.
Okay. Now, what about
Now,
when they're not logged in? I mean, you're just going to have to log in as a Sysop and go in there.
well, you
in
can
there
do
be in the user list to modify them?
You would use the ED command.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the ED command is the user edit. I know you got a user number 2 on this board, but it's called tester.
Yep.
So you can edit their access group from here.
Okay.
But if they're online, editing their, well, for one thing, they're probably not going to be able to get into the ED command because it only is set for 512 access.
Uh-huh.
This is primarily for the Sysop.
Right.
But you can edit pretty much anything from here. Their flags. You can edit what they have access to, what their credit ratio is, how much time per call they can have, and calls per day when it's set for 0, that's unlimited. Time per call when it's set for 0, that's unlimited. And downloads per call times 10 is when it's set for 0, that's also unlimited.
Okay.
Now, if you were to change 20 to 1, that would be 1 times 10. That means that user can download 10 files per call.
Okay.
I'll change it back to 0.
Okay. And
Now,
the as far as the user goes, if they were to refer to the original Image 1.2 manual, all the flag settings are still the same for each user? As they are
pretty
from
much.
2.0 to 1.2?
They're all the same flags.
Okay.
Is there anything in the IM configuration manual that you want to see?
Oh, there was a while ago. The function keys, that's going to be used to assign macros to the Lightbar, correct? Or is that A?
Actually, the function keys,
Okay.
These are what the function keys are. These were predefined when it went all the way back to the original Image 2.0 that Ray Kelm was working on. If you notice, some of these redefined function keys are supposed to work in the image terminal, but we haven't been able to figure out how to make them work yet.
Gotcha.
That's something that's not really fully configured right now.
Because that's one of the other things I've had people, it's like the Lightbar goes on forever, you know.
You're right. And let's take a look at the Lightbar configuration. We can edit the Lightbar defaults. And by editing the Lightbar defaults, these are default Lightbar check marks that will appear upon boot up every time you boot up.
Okay.
And there's several things that you can configure from this menu that will set your default check marks for whenever you're booting up, so that you don't have to go in there and change them from the Sysop screen.
Well, and this is just a great page to guide people to, just so they know what the functions even do.
Yeah, that's true also. Now, if you wanted to disable MCI in the editor, you could use 16 on this page to put a check mark there, and that would be disabled.
Uh-huh.
But anything you do on this doesn't take effect until you reboot anyway.
Right.
Next page. enable the mail check at Logon. Here's one interesting thing. If you select number 2 on this page, excessive chat log on, that means that it'll put a check mark there at the CHK right side. And if somebody tries to use the chat function more than 3 times, it'll log them off automatically.
Nice. So then when you get down to 15 and 16, those are the undefined. Now you can define them, or just leave them empty? There's no way to define them?
Well, there is, but it's more of a, you would have to define those functions in a basic program somewhere.
Okay. All right. He had some plans for this, obviously.
Yeah. This is page 8. These are definable triggers. You can define them to come on at certain times of the day and do certain things. Like if I were to edit number 1, that would be on.
And these alarms are for what?
These are pretty deep. You would have to set up something. These are things that you could use for your own programming. If you had a certain program that you wanted to define an alarm for,
okay,
you could use this page for setting those.
Okay.
Of course, this board is not networked, so we won't talk about the net mail alarms. But if you were networked, you could go in there and you could set your net mail trigger times. You got 24 different trigger times, at which time the network maintenance would run, and you can define them from within here. The alarms. See, these are the definable alarms that I was talking about on page 8. If I were to edit that one, you can set a time for it to come on, a time for it to go off. It says it's enabled by check mark number 112, and what it does is it'll place a check mark in 13, which is on page 8. But like I said, that's pretty deep.
Yeah.
And you'd have to have a program that would be using them. I would quit out of that. Now, one thing that you may want to be interested in is your Logon editor.
Yeah, the logons can get pretty painful on some.
Okay, the Logon module. Okay, I see you've got it configured for email, bonus, and last. So if you wanted to add something to that, it'll bring up a list of available login modules, like a credit pool. You don't want to add you don't want to add email, and you don't want to add last, because those are already hardwired into the Logon module already.
Right.
So we'll quit out of that. The other thing that's configurable are the maintenance mods. These are the modules that run at midnight.
Okay.
If you needed to add something there, these are the available.
Okay.
These are the available modules that have been pre-written and included with the program. Quicklist. You can define people that can log on in instant mode. For example, you've got yourself listed there, but you've got no flag set. So, number 2, add you, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, and yes sir. Okay, so, and your description is Sysop. Okay. Now, if we want to add somebody, you see I'm online and I'm a level 9. It automatically assumes I'm going to add myself. So what I would be able to do is in instant mode is do a remote instant login if I wanted to. And that way I could bypass all of the login modules.
Nice.
Obviously, I can't log in from the console because I'm not sitting there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
but I may want to have a look at the feedback. So,
what is feedback shadow?
I'll show you in a minute. Yes. Feedback shadow is, as soon as we exit out of here, go back to the main prompt, go into view feedback. So I see you've got some errors that are in here.
Yep.
I'm not going to go looking through all of them. These are probably, I don't know, errors that may have occurred for some reason or another. But if you want to get rid of them and start over, we can just scratch the error log automatically. Sure, yes. There's been some feedback. I'm not going to read them, but I'm going to show you something now that since we've got sysops defined, if I enter feedback and I want to leave feedback, let's see. I see in 3.0, it'll bring up a list of the sysops. You can leave feedback to one of the sysops that's listed on the quick list.
That's nice.
And that's what the feedback shadow means.
So here you got to tag the sysops with the feedback shadow so they can see a copy, I'm assuming.
Right. And it'll go to their email. Okay.
Ah, there we go. Cool.
You know, you can also set the image time from the IM menu. If your board is running behind time a little bit, you can set the time Day is 7,
Okay.
month is 9, date is 12, year is 20, hour is 6, and it's 56 about right?
I show 57 just now.
57 p.m. Yes. So now the number at the bottom of the screen will change to
Yep,
whatever we set it to.
it now matches. Very good.
Now, one thing I want you to notice, whenever you're in ZZ mode, you see that number underneath the time? It says stack free. 218.
Yep.
For Image 2.0, if that number is ever less than 218, that means that there's garbage on the stack somewhere.
Okay.
Some program did a go sub or a go to, or actually a go sub or an on go to, and left garbage on the stack. That means it's got a return waiting there to come back from somewhere that the programmer messed up on. He didn't provide a return.
Uh-huh.
So you want to keep an eye on that. And you notice if you're not in ZZ mode, if I turn that off,
Yeah.
now we don't see that. We don't see that number. It only appears to the Sysop if he's in remote maintenance or if he's logged on from the local console.
So when the stack gets below 218, then what are you going to do to clear it?
Well, let me see if we have something. DR5 plus .s. Okay. If the stack gets below 218, we can run stack 2.1 on device 5, which is the program file drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it tells me there's no garbage. But
Okay.
if there had been garbage on there, this program will clear it.
Okay.
It'll create an error as it does so because it's going to execute a return when there was no go sub.
Mm-hmm.
But at least it'll bring that, it'll clear the stack and bring it back to stack 218.
Very good. One question I had, because it actually, somehow I made it happen after you called earlier today. When the board crashes down to the prompt, when it did it up to me, it was during a login process, and it actually resumed and went back to the wait for call screen. But other times, when it just sits down there indefinitely, I've done it multiple ways. I've either reboot the virtual machine, or I just simply type run, and it goes back all over again, back to the wait for call. Is there a right or wrong way on that?
If you're already logged on to the BBS and it crashes, sometimes you can just type go to 1811 and it'll take you to the main prompt and you can continue from there.
Okay.
But it depends, it depends on what caused the crash, how hard, what got messed up in the meantime. Sometimes the only way to get around it is to reboot.
Okay.
But, 1811 is the line number that goes to the main prompt. And so if you try to type go to 1811 while you're online, then you have a possibility of being able to resume from there.
Okay. Well, alrighty, sir. I really do appreciate this, and I'm sure others will too.
All right, you take care.
You have a great rest of your weekend too. Thank you.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
So that wraps up our session there with Larry Hedman, also known as X-Tec, showing us how to set up the subboards, the UD boards, some tricks along the way, working with the user editor, and even the Lightbar. So I really hope this helped some of you as much as it helped me, and thank you for watching.